Township Municipal Authority.
The Doylestown Township Municipal Authority did have a good year in 2016, although occasionally we went sideways while going forward. We do meet the third Thursday of every month here at 4 o'clock. You certainly are all welcome to come. Several things that were extremely positive. In November, we ended a series of interviews for personnel and hired Keith Haas as our new director. Keith comes to us with an extensive background in water management. He's a graduate of Rutgers University with a degree in engineering. He worked as a water operator. He arrived. Keith Haas, our new director. Thank you, Keith. He has experience as an operator, also in construction management and control of water systems, so we look forward to his continuing growth with Keith at the helm. Also in December, with a start date in January, we added a new employee to replace a terminated employee. Sean Gore joined Scott's staff with his start date in January. He's been with us about 2 or 3 weeks. He has 12 years of experience in operations. We owe a big thank you to the staff for their work, especially for last year, in that it was a very difficult year at times. The staff, beginning on the left, Scott Mealy, who was a manager, Brent Eaton, Keith in the background, coming up on the right side, Sean, the new employee, Jerry Kinder in the middle, and Matt Matatankis on the right. Great staff. They did a great job this year. We also need to extend a sincere appreciation and thank you to Mr. John. Mr. John will be working with Keith for the next 6 months or so until we allow him to retire. He keeps contradicting that, but he doesn't realize that the board does have some control in this matter. So he intends to leave, but we thank him, and I just realized sitting there that this will be the last time that we have an opportunity to see Dick at a meeting like this. So on behalf of the board, and I would say very much on behalf of the supervisors, the residents of Doylestown Township, and those customers we have, thank you, Mr. John. Thank you. You can keep it up there, Barbara. He's great.
Yeah, he deserves it. Yeah.
In 2016, we increased our customer base. We now have a customer base, residential and commercial, of 4,420 units. We have an average daily volume of water consumed of 982,000 gallons, an impressive figure. We do, however, have the ability to go to as high as 4 million gallons per day if we would need it. So we have a lot of room to expand. We intend to expand. We do continue and we maintain our intermunicipal relationships with Doylestown Borough, New Britain Borough, New Britain Township, Buckingham Township, Warrington Township, and Plumstead Township. With those other municipalities, we have agreements that if necessary, and we discovered this year we do need, to work with them for replacement of water. The elephant in the room for 2016 was perfluorinated compounds, PFCs. You're all aware that about 2 years ago, the Warminster Horsham area wells were tested at levels above the allowable limits, resulting in a shutdown of both private and public wells, and the resultant lowering of allowable level of PFCs. The level was, for a number of years, 70 parts per million. It was reduced, if you'll excuse a personal interruption here, arbitrarily, to 40 gallons, or 40 per million. The result of that was, in May of 2016, a well in the Cross Keys area was discovered to have limits above that new allowable limit of 40. At the same time, our well in Cross Keys was found to have limits above that as well. This is a picture of our tank on the left, a 300,000 gallon tank, our well and pump house on the right. In May, we had to shut them down because of the test with an allowable limit, a limit above the allowable level. In order to take care of that, we had to do something, obviously, to get water. Our system, all of our water, has always tested lower than the then allowable limits. The change in allowance meant that this well showed some contamination. We had to shut it down. In order to maintain our supply to those customers in the area, we now are buying water through Doylestown Borough, another example of our use of another municipality. Very expensive operation. But in order to get around that operation, you will recall that back in September when we met with the supervisors, we discussed putting in a new line going from along Sawmill Road. That is our distribution point right there. I was standing almost on Route 313 at Sawmill Road to take the picture. The new line will go out Sawmill Road that way, underneath the 611 bypass, and just east of the 611 bypass, the line will be buried through a Fred Beans used car parking lot. It will go behind the Dodge dealership, behind Altamonte's Deli, and at that point will join another line. We have an existing line. It will not connect. It will be laid alongside that line and will then go, I hope, up to our Cross Keys well site. Our staff is in the process of evaluating that site with the idea that we will probably consider cleaning the tank, which is something which is done on an occasional basis in any event. Also making sure that everything in the tank and the pump and the well house will meet any new standards that are set so that we can begin using our own water supply. Again, we have very capable supply, using our own water supply that we can get back into the operation and eliminate the cost of buying water from the Doylestown Borough. That project, which we had discussed with the supervisors in September, our engineer has laid out the lines. We're ready to go. We are waiting for a permit from PennDOT to go under the bypass. Even though we are not going to disturb the road at all, disturb 611 at all, we will be going under a bypass which requires approval by PennDOT. We are confident that will be handed to us very soon. We also have applied for grants. We hope that those grants will be approved at the same time. Our engineer has at this point given us a start date of March to begin that project going out Sawmill Road to eventually eliminate our purchase of water. Other things that we have going, two of which in particular we discussed with the supervisors, New Britain Gateway. That's a picture of going into New Britain from Doylestown, just a shot to see, but it's just a New Britain Township or New Britain Borough sign. The New Britain Gateway project is really in the hands of New Britain itself, but they have come to us and asked us to participate as far as providing water. There are no real specifics at this point. I will say, however, that during this interim period, we have been requested from several residents in New Britain Borough and Township to extend our water lines. We have a water line now which provides water to Hidden Meadows, which is east of 202, the old 202 on Shady Retreat Road. The new line we put in will be a loop line which will go to reconnect with that line to pick up some more customers in that area. Another familiar name, the Pavilion at Furlong. Progress because there's a new sign. That's progress of some kind. Our plan has two options. First option is an on-site water supply. Second option is to extend our line from Cherry Lane. At this point, we are looking at and continuing to focus on option number one, which is using on-site water. There's a test well which has been drilled. The test well is showed in its initial test a flow of 200 gallons per minute. That flow would be adequate for the shopping center, for the pavilion. It would not do some of the other things that we'd like to do in the area. You all recall that several years ago, we had planned to extend our lines out to that area to take care of this proposed development and also the number of homes that were affected by contaminated water. That fell through. If any of you know any supervisors in Buckingham Township, would you please give them a hand for us? At this point, based on the test well, on the assumption that that would give enough water to provide for the shopping center, and perhaps one or two additions along the way, it is an option that we're considering. The expense of that will be mostly borne by a state small tank group who would pay for the large amount of that. The total for the on-site system is about $900,000. At this point, it appears that if things are approved, as we hope, that our cost would be $100,000 for some site work. The cost of the tank supply would be through this fund. It is something at this point, as we all know, that has been going, will be going. We certainly hope, and it appears at this point, they were going to go forward. Some other things that we are still working on and hookups that we have been underway or are under consideration, Carriage Hill and Plumstead Township, another example of our cooperation with another public entity. We continue to get the tap-in fees for all of the new homes which are being built in Carriage Hill. Stone Barn Manor on Old Dublin Pike will have, I believe, 7 units. We've already connected a couple. Town's Edge in Lower State Road, across from the Y. The Braylong Tract is a future possibility at the corner of Bristol Road and Lower State Road. Bristol and Lower State Road.
Lower State.
Our staff is upgrading, Keith and the staff are upgrading our system. We have a system called SCADA. I don't know what that is, SCADA. It's a system which monitors our wells and their operation. It reports to our central station if there is a problem. Keith and the staff are going to upgrade that to a better system to give more work, to give more information. The Ridings well is being upgraded and improved. The North well has been upgraded and improved. And I'm sure there are other things that I've forgotten to include, but I will say in closing that yes, it was a good year, and we're looking forward to a better year in 2017.
Thank you, Dick.
Thank you all
Good
very
job.
much.
A lot of work you guys do. Thank you.
And again, one more time, for Mr. John, thank you very much.
Nick John, MVP.